Alright, welcome back, and in this video we'll start working on our helper classes. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create some of our includes, so like our header. Just create a document, we'll call this blog for now. And then I'm going to paste that link from the bootstrap thing I copied in the previous video. And I'm going to get the JavaScript. Paste that down here, and then I'm gonna add my own style sheet, and that's in assets, CSS, and I think it was main.css. Okay, I'm just gonna cut this from here. There we go. Go to my footer, paste that in my footer. Oh, wrong, come on. There we go. Okay. So that's our basic HTML structure, and we'll add more to this file as we go. I'm just going to require once, and this is going to be in the core/init.php. Go ahead and highlight that and put that in single quotes, followed by a semicolon. Now, let's see, go into the core, the initiation file. I'm going to open my PHP tags, get rid of this one, and then I'm going to say session_start to start our session, and ob_start to start output buffering. Be help if I remembered to put my semicolons. Okay. Now I'm also going to create something called an autoloader, and basically that will autoload all of our classes, and it will make it so we can include them on the fly without having to do specifically require the class whatever. So the way that works is it gives us PHP gives us this really cool function called SPL_autoload_register. And so you pass in a function, and then you pass in the whatever class that you want to, so class. And then inside this function here, we require once, and then this is going to be, it's going to look in the classes / and the class name, so, and then .php, and this is all for our initiation file for now. So let's actually see this in working. So we're going to click on our helpers, we're going to define the class, again get rid of this PHP closing PHP tag, and we're just gonna do class helpers, and all of the classes in here are going to be static. Basically what that means is we'll be able to reference them without actually having to create a new instance of the class. So let's see, we'll do just to show you how this works, we'll create a public static function, and I'll call this you know what, I'll call this, we'll create a function that will display an input, but for now, so let's see, get input, and for now I'll just echo out some text real quick. So let's see, echo it works. Okay, so now if I go to the index file PHP, and I require once my header, that's going to be inc/header.php, and of course I got to do the same for the footer to get bootstrap working. And then if I do PHP and I say, let's see, it's helpers : and then get _ input, And if we go to our main index here, and let's see, oh, I expect to require once line sick and init.php, and I said sick, not 6. That's just because I forgot to, hold on, there we go. Just a little syntax error right there. There we go, see, it works. Alright. Now, the first function we're going to put in our helpers, which will probably take up this entire video, is an input function to basically it'll display an input and it'll look pretty nice. So let's create an outline of a form here. And of course this method is going to be post. I'm going to do a div.row, div.call-md-4 1 2, and this is just to align it in the center and to make it look a little bit nicer. Alright, so normally the way you do this is you create a div and then with the class of form dash group, and then you create a input inside that div with the class of form control if you're using Bootstrap. Now, obviously that can get pretty messy over time. So instead of creating all that HTML ourselves, we're just going to put down the function and it will generate all that for us. Okay, so let's see. Go in my helpers. Now into here, actually before that, let's take a look and see what a input actually needs to have on it to work. So let's see, input, it needs a type by default. Now if you want to submit it in a form, it also needs a name. So these two are going to be definitely required, but I think everything else should be not required. And I'm just going to replace these with single quotes to make it easier on me. Okay, so let's see. It needs a name, and then next some classes, so do it like that. Placeholder. Let's see, what else does it need? Probably a, let's see, a placeholder, value, and an ID. And then if we want to specify whether or not we have autocomplete on, so change that to autocomplete. Okay, so let's see, I think that's all for the input. So this is what our basic input's going to look like. So let's actually start building that now. So in our helpers, we're going to say $input is equal to, and I'm going to put this inside double quotes. And I think what I'll do is I'll take the last 4 here, do Control X, put a colon here, semicolon here, $input dot equals. If I could type, that would be nice. Okay, and finish off the input. Alrighty, so that's what the basic input looks like, but we also need to pass in some variables. So $type and $name. So those two are going to be required for the input. The rest are going to be optional. So we're going to pass an array, $classes is equal to an array, and we'll make that an empty array for now. $placeholder, and that'll be equal to an empty string. And I'll just use single quotes to stay in. Okay. $value. And you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll make one more required, and that's going to be the autocomplete. So what I'll do is I'll say $AC and then I'll make that required. Okay. So I'm gonna cut down the val to, or value to val, $ID, and that's gonna be equal to an empty string, and so is the value. Oh, come on, there we go. Okay. So now I also want to echo out a div. So this div is going to have a class equal to form-control. And so I'll do bam. Oh, and I'm so dumb sometimes. And then I'm going to echo out a closing tag for that div. And then I'm going to echo out the input. Okay. So this function will sort of work right now, but at the same time there'll be a few issues, and I'll go over those issues when I show you. Of course, it would help if I actually went to my index here and I did PHP helpers get input. Okay. And we need three things for this. It's going to be a type of text. The name is going to be new input. And since you can't really do spaces and call that, well, I don't know, I've never tried it, so I'm not gonna try it now. So anyways, and I'm gonna do off for if we want to autocomplete. Refresh, and creates the input. Let's see where that second input is coming from. Okay, it's coming from that because that's control, not group. Okay. There we go. So it creates the input for us. That's what we want. If we inspect the element, we can take a look at the HTML that was generated from that. So it creates the div with the form group, and then it has the type, name, class, placeholder. But I just realized I didn't actually put anything in for here. So I'll put some curly braces, then type, name, classes, and this will actually error now that we're putting in the classes, and that's because we'll be converting an array to a string, and we can't do that. Okay, $value, $D, and $AC. Okay. So now if we take a look back here, it should still print out, but it does give us the error array to string conversion. And then if we take a look at the form group here, it now has the text name, and then it has the array, which is something we don't want, and then it has autocomplete off. And you know what? Maybe we want to add a required field to that as well, just in case. So what I'll do is create this, and I'll say additional, you know what, no, I won't. I'll save that for if I want to add more to this later, but first I'm gonna fix the, okay, so first thing I'm gonna have to do is we're gonna say that $class names are equal to an empty string. So this right away will get rid of the class's error. So now that's gotten rid of the class error, but let's actually convert the array to our string. So the first thing we'll do is we'll say if empty $sign class names, then we just want to leave that be. So we'll just copy this into that. And then we'll say if it's not empty, we'll say $sign. We'll start with the class name is empty, but then we'll create a for each loop. We'll say $sign classes as class. Get rid of the key value pair, and now we'll say $sign class name dot equals, and then $sign class, and we'll put a space at the end so that way it actually separates the classes. And this will create an issue where there'll be a space after the last class, so I'm just going to take care of that right now by doing $sign class name is equal to our trim $sign class name. Okay, that'll get rid of that last white space and it will fix that issue. So now if we refresh, there's no more array to string conversion issue. And so the way this would work now is if we go to our index and we can do this one of two ways. You can put a comma here and you can say $sign class is equal to, and then add the classes in like this, or you can create the array outside the function and just say $sign whatever the array name is. So in this case, we're going to use form dash control, and I'm going to create another one, and this is just to show you that you can add as many as you want. So I'm just going to call this ASDI. So now if I save this, the form control should have, let's see what's going on here. Oh, I hate this thing. Okay. So if I go and look in the form control here, it's not actually getting the classes. So let's see what I did in the helper. See, I'll make sure that the as class $sign class name, but it doesn't equal whatever I put here, I guess. That's because I did class name, not class names. Okay. So that should fix the issue. Let's see if it fixed it now. And again, I'm not going to cut out any of these errors I make because they're learning, or it makes it so you can learn. Okay. For some reason, class names is still not working. Let's see if I can find the issue. And that's because it's an empty array here. It should be class is, not class name. So let's see, did that fix it? And and there's a error. Let's see what that error is. Undefined variable class name. Where's the class name? In line 13. Okay. There it is. Sorry about these bugs, but as I said, I am not going to cut any of these out. There we go. Now it's adding the class onto there. So let's take a look at the inspect element. Okay, so as you can see, it adds both classes onto it. And obviously you can add a placeholder, value, ID, etc, etc, etc. I'm just going to add an extra, or I'm just going to add the placeholder and then I'll end the video there. So we'll say random text. As you can see, it adds the placeholder, and the whole point of this is that way we're not adding a bunch of HTML. Instead, we can just copy and paste this a few times, and as you see, it adds all the HTML and generates the style and classes for us. And it looks a little bit cleaner than having a bunch of HTML here. So anyways, that's our basic form helper. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave a comment down and I'll get back with you. Now, keep in mind that this is only our first function. We'll probably create a lot more functions in the helpers class. It's just this one took quite a while to build. The rest shouldn't take quite as long. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe.